So now we're moving on to carving the bracing on the back. As you recall, the back has a radius to it, so it's sitting right now in another radius dish. So the first thing I have to do, remember, is to brush all this off, make sure there's no wood chips in there, and then you'll see how it fits down into this dish.
And just to explain, like, this is not just a radius; it's a
dome.
It's a dome.
Yeah.
And so it creates complexities in the build.
Yeah.
But it also creates the best, both acoustically and structurally.
Yeah. And the way that somebody explained a dish like this to me is if you imagine that this disc is a pile of mud and you took a 15-foot ball and set it in the mud and then picked it up again, this is the hole that it would leave. So I think that's kind of cool. So anyway, first we'll start like we did before with my little plane. By the way, this plane is a little Stanley plane that I bought at Home Depot. It's probably the oldest woodworking tool I have. I think it's a $10 plane, and I think it's carved, 500, 600, 700 ukes now. Oh, see, that one started to dig in, but it released, yeah, so it's fine. I was worried for a second it was gonna chip out that brace. I'd have to start over, but it's good.
While we're looking at the back, I want to point out grain direction here. Mm-hmm. So let's just turn this a bit and just show them with your hand the vertical grain of those. Yeah,
so on the ends of the brace,
you can actually see it. And you see how just perfectly straight that is. That's what you want. That grain goes up and down.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly straight.
And it goes the length of the brace, hopefully.
Now, this reinforcing piece down the middle, we use the term there. See, Aaron is showing you the grain direction.
You can see better right here, actually.
It's called cross grain spruce, and it's very strong in that direction.
Yeah. So the wood grain of the top goes this way. Everything else is going that way. Okay, so we knocked the edges off with the plane. So now I'll take the chisel and I'll run on the sides to try to pull another shaving off to get rid of the plane situation, and that's diving too much that way, so I'm going to come at it from the other direction. Go onto this side. That's better.
And you'll see this same when he talks about diving. We'll show you that when we carve the neck. It's the same thing. You just don't know. I mean, you say it's straight grain, but it's not absolutely straight. It moves a little bit, curves, and you don't know until you start carving it, and you just feel it, and you know to immediately stop and go the other direction.
And just good woodworking practice. You want to pull off long, thin shavings that are even. That's just showing that you're doing a good job. You don't want to pull out a bunch of little nasty chips. So now this is where I was showing you where I was starting to dive in, and I was worried about it. It was going to go in too much. So now I'll just come at it from this direction and see if that helps. It doesn't always help. There we go.
Because it can be complex. It can curve in and out and in and out. Then you just got to do it in little pieces.
And then I'll hit that with my sandpaper at the end to make it look a little better. Okay, so that's done. So now I'll go on to the scallops. And these are going to scallop a little bit more than the top because of this domed, or the arch that's on the back. These braces, I can take a little bit more off the ends and still keep a good, solid structural situation. So. Feels really good when it does this. This just feels good. And as I discussed before, this last probably that much is going to get trimmed off. So I want to get down to paper thin by the time I get there. See that? That feels good. Nope, this way. Two more. So that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna hit it. Now with the sandpaper, I'm gonna do the same thing on the braces I did before, but also I'm just gonna sand this backstrip material so it's a little more neat. This doesn't affect the sound at all. It's just making it look good. Especially because you can look through your sound hole and see what these look like. So first I'll just knock the corners off this back splice, then a little on the top. Then I like to do top of this brace, then onto this. Now I gotta do the sides of the braces. You guys might remember I used to do this job with just a folded up piece of 100 grit sandpaper, but you really shouldn't sand anything without some sort of block or something behind it. It makes it less efficient. So even though I sanded several hundred ukes that way, I just finally got out the sanding pad about 3 weeks ago, and it's made faster and better work happen. So we're always evolving too, just in little bits. And then I'm going to also hit these little pieces of white glue that I didn't clean up well enough before. See that little smudge right there? And when I was sanding, I was noticing that this scallop is really close to the edge compared to this one. And I just know I need to bring this one back a little bit, like not even a 1/4 inch. And that's just from knowing how much is going to get trimmed off later. I just have experience with it. There's no good reason why I know what I just do. So that looks better to me. I bet we could mark it or measure it if we needed to, but this works pretty good. So now I'll hit it with the air compressor, and now I can just double check everything. You see right there, it's a little rough. There's like a little tiny, I don't know, chip out just from the plane or something. I'm gonna hit that. That's better. That's it. Oh, and here's the official shaving pile from a top and a back. That's how much comes off. That's where all the tone is. Right there. Tone shavings.
All right, thanks.